Hey, hi, howdy, hello. Make sure my volume is up. Okay, so let's get the nitty gritty. I have had a horribly stressful day. Some of you know what happened to me today, and some of you don't. And if you don't know, you probably don't need to. Um, Suffice it to say, I've had a rough day. Um, yeah. So I don't feel like dealing with drama tonight. I just kind of want to chill and relax. So we're going to listen to ghost stories and do diamond art and giggle and enjoy each other's company. Not really, April. Not really. Anyway, so I got to looking. I got some notification for some reason about my memberships. Um, I made some stickers. I finally got stickers back. So if you would like to join my members, that is now available. And you'll get cool stickers. You'll get emojis. You'll get members only videos. You'll get all kinds of perks. You'll get holiday cards from me and the family. You'll get on our max level, you'll get interaction. But most of you get that anyway. But on at max level membership, you'll get a holiday box with something from me and the littles. It will be handmade and it will be custom to you. And you will also get a card and a little note from me saying thank you. And some stickers and art and craft stuff. Basically, you'll get a gift box from us. For the max level membership. So it is worth it. Some of the people in my chat have received those kinds of gift boxes from me. And they are totally worth it. Because I make some amazing gift boxes. So if you are interested, join my membership and have fun with it. And that's about all I've got to say about the business end of things. But yeah, I just wanted y'all to know I updated stuff. Anywho, I love you all. Either way. I know some of you had asked what happened to memberships or whatever, if I was ever going to bring them back because you love the stickers. And so I went ahead and redid the membership thing. I procrastinated about doing it for several months, but I finally finished it, so you're welcome. Your frog's car got towed. Oh my god, that's adorable. I'm gonna have to tell my kids that joke. I love it. That is so corny that it would get me yelled at. I'm totally telling that joke to my kids. I'm stealing it. Okay. So, we're going to be listening to 10 untold most disturbing true Appalachian ghost horror stories. And that's by Nakora Nights. That's hilarious. I don't know who you are, but you're funny. Anywho. So we're gonna try to forget our troubles for a little while. And I'm gonna try not to have an anxiety attack. Which is proving very difficult today. So maybe we can get through this stream without me having one. So cross your fingers. Maybe we get through this without an anxiety attack. That would be embarrassing for me. So, anywho, we're going to listen to this.
That was the whole idea, to disappear for a little while. The road curved like a ribbon tossed by a drunk. Potholes, broken asphalt, half-paved stretches that looked like no one had cared for years. The deeper we drove, the thicker the forest grew, closing in like a green tunnel. Every few miles, a sign half-bent or full of bullet holes flashed by, words too faded to read. The air smelled like wet leaves and rain that never came. We figured we'd pull over before dark, find a cheap motel or even a diner, anything that wasn't the endless road. But sometime near 6:40 p.m., the Jeep started whining. The temperature needle spiked hard, straight into red. Ryan cursed under his breath, eased off the gas, and coasted us to a stop. We were in the middle of nowhere. No gas stations, no buildings, not even a power line. Just the sound of the engine hissing and cooling off like something alive. A small gravel turnoff appeared up ahead, half hidden by vines. We pulled in on what felt like a prayer. The road there wasn't really a road anymore. Cracked asphalt, weeds breaking through, gravel shoulders swallowed by leaf litter. The trees pressed close, tall and shadow-heavy, their branches arching together like ribs. When I opened the door, the first thing I noticed was the silence. Not the soft kind that comes with nature. No birds, no cicadas, no rustle of leaves. It was absolute dead still. Dead still. The kind of quiet that felt aware. Ryan popped the hood. Steam drifted up, thin and ghostly in the fading light. He muttered something about the radiator while I stepped away to stretch. That's when I saw the mailbox. It was nearly hidden in a wall of brush, rust eating through chipped white paint. The flag hung limp like it had given up a long time ago. No number, no name, just a forgotten piece of metal clinging to the edge of the woods. Behind it, a narrow drive led down into the trees. At the end of that drive was a house. 2 stories, white siding, green shutters, porch with a rocking chair slightly turned. The windows were clean, the porch boards intact. But there was something wrong. It wasn't falling apart. It wasn't ghostly or decayed. It just felt private, like it resented being seen. The air around it seemed thicker, heavier, as if the house itself was holding its breath. I don't remember deciding to walk toward it, but I did. I told myself I just wanted to check if someone lived there, maybe borrow water for the radiator, maybe ask for help. Halfway down the drive, I looked up at the second floor window. Someone was there. A man, standing perfectly still, face pressed close to the glass. His skin was pale, almost gray, and his eyes were black, not empty, just deep, like looking into a tunnel. His head tilted slightly, slow and deliberate, like he couldn't understand what he was seeing, or maybe he could, and didn't like it. My feet froze. My heart beat so hard I could hear it in my ears. Then, without really thinking, I turned around and walked back, not running, just walking, casual, like none of it had rattled me. When I reached the Jeep, Ryan wasn't looking at the engine anymore. He was staring across the road, his face pale. "There's someone over there," he said, voice low. My stomach tightened. "In the house?" He shook his head slowly, still staring. "No, on the road." I followed his gaze. A woman was walking barefoot down the middle of the asphalt. Her dress was long, gray, the hem soaked dark. Her hair hung in ropes over her shoulders. She didn't look at us, didn't even seem to see us, just crossed the road and slipped into the trees on the other side. When I blinked, she was gone. We got back in the Jeep. The engine coughed, then roared back to life like nothing had ever been wrong.
Oh, I forgot to show you guys my progress, by the way. So let me do that real quick. So I've gotten a lot done. Thank you, anxiety. This is what I've gotten done so far. Look how gorgeous. It's nearly finished. Oh, I've been working on this one for weeks. Look how gorgeous and sparkly that is. Right?
The temperature gauge still showed red, but the hum sounded steady. Neither of us said a word. 10 minutes later, we came to a fork. 3 narrow roads splitting off in different directions. No signs, no lights. The middle one looked the least broken, so we took it. The forest grew denser. The air colder. The light dimmed faster than it should have. The sun vanished behind the hills, and the whole world shifted to purple and black. Then Ryan whispered, "Noah, do you see her?" She was standing in the road. The same woman. Gray dress, dark hem, head tilted to the side like she was listening for something only she could hear. Ryan hit the brakes hard. The Jeep skidded sideways, tires screaming on gravel. When we stopped, she was gone, not walking away, not running, just gone. We jumped out, checked the ditches, the trees. Nothing. Not a single footprint. No disturbed leaves. Just the weight of the night pressing on us. "She was real," I said quietly. Ryan just nodded. His hands were shaking. We drove faster after that. The forest seemed to move with us, shadows shifting in the corners of the headlights. Then, after what felt like half an hour, I slammed on the brakes again. Same mailbox. Same rust. Same broken flag. Same house. We hadn't turned around. I knew we hadn't, but somehow we were back. Ryan whispered, "She's looping us." I didn't answer. I just threw it in reverse, spun the tires, and tore down the left fork this time. We didn't care where it went. After 15 minutes of silence, Ryan said softly, "Do you hear that?" A faint sound came through the radio. We hadn't turned it on. It was static at first, then a voice, distant, trembling, broken by static. It said, "Help me, it's too dark." Then it cut off. Ryan stared at me. That's not from any station. The clock on the dashboard flickered. 9:23 p.m. We drove faster. The road bent again and again, looping through trees that looked identical. Then I saw it, the house. Again, only this time, the rocking chair on the porch was moving. Slow, steady, creaking back and forth. There was no wind. We didn't stop. We didn't look. We didn't look. We just drove. The deeper we went, the stranger things felt. The trees seemed wrong, some bending inward like hands, others flickering at the edges of sight like they weren't real. Ryan's phone buzzed once. No signal, but the screen lit up with a missed call notification. The number had no digits, just a blank line. Then the radio clicked again. A voice, older now, like from an old recording. "Dispatch, come in. Repeat, distress call from line 37. We lost connection 30 years ago. Static swallowed the rest. Ryan turned it off. His jaw was clenched, knuckles white on the steering wheel. "We're getting out," he muttered. The road widened ahead, the trees pulling back just enough to let the moonlight spill through. I thought I saw something in that light, a figure standing just beyond the tree line, motionless, pale face watching. But when I blinked, it was gone. At 10:12 p.m., the GPS came back to life, blinking awake like it had just remembered we existed. The map showed one thin line ahead.
Hey, Nikki. Check out what I've gotten so far. This is how much I've gotten done. Yeah, the cherry blossoms are like really special to me. If you see me do an art thing, it's usually got cherry blossoms in it. I don't really like flowers, but I love cherry blossoms. Make that make sense. You know? And also an update on the thing that happened earlier. The DA's office sent somebody and they came and got the thing I showed you. So, maybe answers will come soon. And just so I know it's you, I'm gonna do this. Because you know how weird people can, clone accounts and shit. Hello, it's Faith. Hey, Harry. Yeah, they are creepy. So I gave you wrench, so nobody can boot you or clone your account. Because they have been known to do that. That's why I moderate certain people, so I know you know what I mean. To so that takes care of that. Thank you, April. Apparently, me doing this makes me special needs. I don't know how me doing diamond art painting has anything to do with being special needs. Right, Nikki?
No forks, no loops. We followed it until we hit a small gas station glowing like a relic from another time. Fluorescent lights flickering, a buzzing sign, stale air. It looked normal, painfully normal. Inside, the old clerk behind the counter looked up when we walked in. "You boys come from that ridge road?" he asked. I hesitated. "Yeah." "Why?" He looked at me for a long moment, then said quietly, "That road's been closed since the fire. Back in '92. Ain't nobody lived past that bend for decades." Ryan and I just stared. "There was a house," I said, voice thin. White, two-story green shutters. The clerk's eyes went wide. "You saw it?" "Yeah." He shook his head slowly. "That house burned down with the family inside. They said the mother walked out barefoot, dress soaked in creek water. She was found on the road the next morning. The air in the station suddenly felt too thin." I glanced at Ryan. His face was pale.
I mean, I do have special needs. And those special needs are snacks. I have a special need for snacks. Mm. Like all the time. It's a problem.
Again. The clerk's radio crackled behind him. A faint voice came through, the same one from the car. "Help me, it's too dark." The clerk turned it off without looking up. We left that night, drove straight out of the mountains until the trees gave way to open sky. But sometimes, when I drive alone late at night, my dashboard clock flickers again, and the radio hums with static. And for just a second, my reflection in the rearview mirror lags behind, like it's watching me drive away. I didn't plan on ending up there. It just happened. One decision after another, like slipping downhill on loose gravel, and suddenly I was standing in front of that cabin. It started with exhaustion, the kind that doesn't make you sleepy, just hollow. I'd walked out of my job without warning. One moment I was staring at my screen. The next I was standing in the parking lot with my badge still clipped to my shirt. No goodbyes, no explanation. Then came the breakup, quiet and sharp. She said I'd stopped caring. I said I was just tired. She left before dessert even hit the table. I didn't chase her. I didn't have it in me anymore. So when my cousin texted out of nowhere, saying he had this old place I could use for a while, I took it as a sign. A chance to disappear for a bit, let my head clear. He said the cabin was out near Hollow Creek, somewhere along the western edge of North Carolina, deep in the folds of the Appalachian Mountains. He bought it cheap from some auction, said it was perfect if I wanted quiet. I packed what little I cared about, some clothes, canned food, a flashlight, and hit the road before I could
I'll tell you what's good. I made this the other night. And Nikki, this is a thing I sometimes do. You'll get used to it. And hello, take a seat. Yeah, I'm almost done. Look. Well, I'm almost done with this half of it. I have an entire half to go. But that's what we got so far. Anyway. So, ADHD moment. Um. So, I like taking the lime flavored tortilla chips. And what I'll do is I'll take Velveeta cheese and I'll brown some hamburger meat and kielbasa sausage, onion, tomato, red pepper, mushrooms, and garlic. And I'll brown all of that like really good. I'll saute it really, really nice. And then I'll mix in my Velveeta cheese. And that is the best fucking cheese dip ever. And I also throw in about a handful of cheddar. Like, as it's melting. And oh my god. I could eat my weight in that dip. It's so good. I often give recipes over here because my name is Trash Panda. For shit's sake. And I would not be a true trash panda if my life did not revolve around food. True story. So, the other night, I'll tell you another thing I did. I made fajitas. And what I did was I took some of the fajita steak, you know, the steak they slice really, really thin, and I browned that, and I used fajita mix, you know, like you can get the taco seasoning. I put fajita seasoning in it with onion and garlic and mushroom, and I browned it to where it was just slightly pink in the middle. And then in another frying pan, I took broccoli, cauliflower, and some garlic and butter. And I browned the broccoli and cauliflower, and then I mixed in about a shit ton of tahini, basically. I like dumped the tahini into it while I was browning it. And I made it to where the cauliflower and broccoli were crispy. And oh my god, that was the best fajita I think I've ever eaten. But no, the trick for me is I use fresh ingredients. Oh god, yeah, bacon in the oven, top tier. You can make more of it at one time if you put it in the oven on a drainer. Now, if you put it on a baking sheet with the draining pan, you don't have, like, you know how when you're frying bacon, the grease goes everywhere. This way, you don't have splatter everywhere. And I have 2 teenage boys. So I have to make a metric ton of bacon every time I make it, or I don't get any. So that's just the best way to do it. I'll be right back. I gotta go grab another color.
Twice. The drive was long and winding, the kind of back roads that shrink with every mile. Pavement gave way to gravel, then to dirt, until I wasn't sure if I was still following a road or a memory. My GPS cut out miles before I reached the place. The cabin looked forgotten. The porch leaned forward like it was tired of standing. The roof sagged, and the wood was so dark it almost looked burnt. The trees crowded close behind it, pressing in from all sides, tall and sharp, like a wall that didn't want to let anything out. Inside, it was smaller than I imagined. A cot in one corner, a rusted stove, a dented lantern, and a metal trunk that doubled as a table. No electricity. No running water. A single warning nailed to the inside of the door about forest fires and keeping lanterns contained. But the quiet hit me first. Not the silence of peace, the kind that hums in your ears, too still, like the world is holding its breath. Still, I felt relief. For the first time in months, no voices, no phone buzzing, no demands. Just emptiness. That first night, I sat on the porch until the last light vanished. The woods turned black faster than I expected, as if someone flipped a switch. It should have felt eerie, but it didn't. Not then. I just watched the stars blink through the branches until my eyes grew heavy. When I woke, it was dark again, and my heart was pounding like I'd been running. I didn't know why. No dream, no sound, just that instant, blinding sense that I wasn't alone. My body was frozen, chest tight, ears straining. There was nothing. Still, I reached for the lantern and turned it on. The light spilled across the room, trembling a little from my shaking hand. Everything looked normal. The door shut. The corners still shadows. But the feeling wouldn't leave. I sat awake for an hour, maybe more. The silence began to hum again, a low vibration under my skin. I must have dozed off eventually because I remember hearing something faint, my own name. Not loud, not a whisper, just wrong. Like someone trying to say it but missing the rhythm. It almost sounded like me. In the morning, I told myself it was stress. Isolation does strange things to your brain. You start hearing echoes of your own thoughts. So I decided to hike, hoping the movement would clear my head. Behind the cabin, the forest rose steeply, thick with vines and deadfall. I climbed for an hour before realizing there were no trails, no signs of anyone having walked there for years. No birds, no animals, just the crunch of my boots and my own breathing. The quiet pressed in heavier the higher I went. Then I saw
time.
it, a strip of rusty fencing half-eaten by the ground. It
Gandalf
stretched maybe
time.
20 feet before disappearing under
Gandalf
leaves.
time.
No idea
Ooh,
what it used to hold back.
Yeah.
I turned around soon after. Something about the stillness made the hairs on my arms
Good
stand
boy.
up, like the woods were waiting for me to go.
Sugar
That
boy.
night, I made sure everything was
Gandalf.
locked. Door, windows,
Yeah.
even wedged
Oh,
the metal
big
trunk in front of the frame. I kept the lantern on this time, dim but steady. Around 2:20 a.m., a single sound broke the silence, a metallic clink. Not loud, but deliberate. My eyes snapped open. The coffee mug I'd left upside down on the counter was now sitting upright in the middle of the floor.
Oh
Not
my
cracked,
goodness.
not spilled, just placed.
Scratch him back.
Perfectly centered.
Oh
I
my
stared
goodness.
at it for what felt like forever.
Yeah.
My pulse hammered so hard I thought I'd pass out. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. Eventually, I slid it back onto the counter without saying a word. Something deep inside told me not to speak. By the third day, the forest outside went quiet. No insects, no wind. Even the trees looked still, like they were carved from wax. I stayed inside most of the day, eating cold soup straight from the can. I didn't
And
light the
good
stove.
boy.
When dusk came, I sat on the
Yeah,
porch
belly
staring into the
whoop.
dark line of trees. It
Belly
felt like something was
whoops.
standing there, just out of view, patient, waiting for me to
Belly
notice. At exactly
whoops.
3:13 a.m., she appeared, about 20 yards into the tree line, barefoot.
Belly
Her
whoops.
skin pale against the black
Yeah, it's a
leaves,
good
her dress
boy.
long and stitched wrong, like it had been
Yeah.
made by hand without knowing how clothes
Oh
were
my
supposed to fit. The
goodness.
fabric shimmered faintly,
Yeah.
like oil on water. Her arms hung at her sides, her mouth slightly
Yeah.
open, eyes wide but
Good
unfocused.
boy.
It didn't look
Yeah.
like someone standing. It looked like something pretending to stand. I stood too, not to move, just because sitting suddenly felt too vulnerable. We faced each other in silence. No wind, no sound, only the low hum of the lantern behind me. Then she turned. Not toward me, just turned and walked deeper into the woods. And I followed. No flashlight,
You
no
mean
shoes,
that
just an
look?
instinct. The air grew colder with every step. I started to notice things hanging from trees. A baby shoe nailed into bark, a rusted iron sitting on moss, a cassette tape dangling from fishing line, spinning slowly even though there was no wind. I reached a clearing, circular, with a stone well in the middle. No bucket, no rope, just a black mouth opening into nothing. Around it, 7 piles of stones, each one the same size, arranged too carefully to be random. That pressure came again,
How
the weight
dare
of
you
being
stop
watched,
scratching my
not
belly?
from behind, but all around. I turned in a slow circle, expecting to see her. Nothing. The woods were empty. Then I heard it, my name, clear and steady, coming from the direction of the
Would you
well.
stop
It didn't
biting
sound like her
me? And
voice.
maybe you're gonna
It
get my
sounded like
fleas?
mine. The
Yeah.
same tone, same pitch, but hollow. I didn't move,
You
didn't
were
even
so
breathe.
satisfied with
Then I
himself.
stepped back, one slow
Hey,
foot at a
I'm fixing
time,
your
eyes locked
beard.
on the dark. I don't remember the walk back clearly. The woods felt different. Trees that had been straight now leaned toward the path, roots
Yeah.
crossing where there hadn't been any.
And good
The air
boy.
grew heavier,
Yeah.
thicker, the silence louder.
I'm
When I finally
scratching
saw
ya.
the cabin, something was off. The
Yeah.
lantern was out, even though I'd left it burning. The
Oh
door
my
stood open,
goodness.
and the trunk, the one I'd shoved against the door, was gone. Not pushed, moved, lifted, set down neatly across the room in front of the fireplace.
You mean the look where he physically grabs my hand and makes me pet him? Yes, he does. What do you mean gives me a look? No, he physically grabs my hand and puts it back on his belly. There is no look. He's not rotten at all. No. Totally not spoiled. He's not spoiled in the slightest. Ow. Stop biting me. Thank you. He's totally unspoiled. Oh, he definitely knows he's cute. Oh my god, everything bagel with cream cheese. Yes, please. There's a rule over here that if you talk about snacks, you have to bring the snacks. And I see no snacks laying before me. This is a travesty. What the hell? We has rules.
That broke me. I didn't grab my bag or my food. I just ran for the car and didn't stop until I reached the road. By the time I found the gas station, the sky was starting to lighten. I parked under the...
By the way, for those of you who do diamond art painting or any other sort of art of that nature, I have these that I plan to, it's copper flaking. I'm gonna sprinkle it over the top of it to kind of give it an extra little pizzazz. And yeah, food is my favorite food. But yeah, for those of you who do diamond art painting, this stuff is amazing. You can kind of sprinkle it, break it up a little bit, and then sprinkle it over the painting sporadically, and it looks amazing when you do it that way. So that's just an extra little idea for those of you who enjoy doing diamond art also, and looking for something a little different. Oh my god, Wendy's Baconator fries. Oh my god. You know what weird thing I do? I do weird things, okay? But when it comes to food, I do extra weird things. So, shadows. So when I go to Wendy's, my fat ass will tell them when I get my chicken nuggies, I get my chicken nuggies and I get my Baconator fries, but here's the twist. I get the cheddar cheese sauce that they put on the Baconator stuff, and I get them to put it in a chili cup, and I dip my chicken nuggets in the cheese sauce. And I'm telling you, you have not lived until you have had chicken nuggies dipped in cheese sauce. I know that sounds weird, but chicken nuggies and Wendy's cheese sauce is freaking delicious. So don't knock it until you try it, because I'm telling you, it will change your life. I promise. It's freaking delicious.
brightest light I could find, locked the doors, and stayed there until morning. I never went back. Never called my cousin, never asked what that place was. But sometimes, when I'm half asleep, I hear it again, the same sound. The faint, careful way my own voice says my name, and it's always followed by silence. When my engine broke down a few weeks later on a lonely road not far from the Blue Ridge, I realized I hadn't escaped anything. I was driving through rain so heavy the wipers could barely keep up when the car sputtered and died. I coasted to the shoulder, right beside an old cemetery, headstones tilted like teeth. I pulled out my phone to call for help, but there was no signal. Out of habit, I opened the camera to check if maybe the flash could work as a light. That's when I saw it, shapes behind me in the reflection. Not clear, not solid, just pale, distorted outlines. When I turned, there was nothing. only the rain. The power of the car flickered once, like something breathing inside the dashboard, then went dark again. I left the phone recording just in case. When I replayed it later, I heard it again. My name in my own voice, layered under the static. Sometimes I dream about that well. In the dream, I'm standing at the edge, looking down, but it's not a pit, it's a reflection. I see myself, staring up, lips moving, but no sound. Then, slowly, the reflection starts to climb out. I always wake before it reaches the surface. When people ask why I don't go camping anymore, I tell them it's because I like sleeping where the walls don't breathe. They laugh. They think I'm joking. But the truth is simpler. There are places in those mountains where the world folds wrong, where silence isn't absence but attention. And once it learns your name, it doesn't forget. I was 17 when I learned that the forest doesn't forget what's buried beneath it. Back then, I thought I understood what quiet meant. I'd spent summers fishing in creeks, camping on ridges, chasing fireflies under the wide breadth of the Appalachians. But nothing prepares you for the kind of quiet that lives too deep in the hills, where the trees lean close enough to whisper and the earth feels like it's waiting to breathe again. That summer was the one my life came undone. I'd failed 2 courses in forestry school, mouthed off to an instructor, and almost got myself expelled. My father said I needed discipline, a reminder of what real work felt like. His friend, an old ranger named Cal, who ran an outpost in the southern stretch of Blue Hollow Preserve, agreed to take me on for the summer. My father called it an opportunity. I called it exile. The drive to Cal Station felt like descending through time. The paved road gave way to gravel, then to dirt, until even the sound of the tires seemed swallowed by trees. Cell signal vanished before I crossed the first ridge, and by the time I reached the clearing where the cabin sat, I could hear nothing but the creak of pine boughs and the low drone of cicadas. The cabin itself was old, sagging in places, with tin patches on the roof and windows clouded with years of rain. There was no Wi-Fi, no television, no radio, except an old one band that hummed with static more than sound. Cal was as weathered as the place, tall, quiet, and built from silence. He didn't ask questions, didn't make small talk. When I arrived, he nodded once, handed me a set of keys, and told me to keep the firewood stacked high. That was our introduction. There was a dog too, a massive old mutt named Bear. His fur was a patchwork of gray and mud, and his eyes carried the kind of wisdom that comes from seeing too much. He never barked, just watched the tree line like he was waiting for something to come back. For the first few days, life settled into a rhythm. We repaired fence posts, cleared brush, and checked trail markers. I was bored, but the work was honest. By afternoon, Cal usually disappeared into the ranger shed to file reports or maybe nap, leaving me free to wander the lower trails. I started to feel a strange pull toward the forest. Not curiosity exactly, but the sense that something old lived out there, just beyond what the eye could name. It started with carvings. Old trees with symbols etched deep into their bark. Spirals, triangles, and what looked like crude figures. Some had names beneath them, dates so faded they were almost gone. I took a few photos on my phone, but without signal, they stayed there, unshared like secrets the forest wouldn't let go. One evening, just before dusk, I brought them up to Cal. He was sharpening his axe on the porch. I asked if he knew anything about the carvings. He didn't look up, just said, "Stay clear of the breaks." I asked what he meant. He paused, then nodded toward the ridge. "Past the breaks," he said, "the woods stopped making sense." That was all. No explanation, no warning, just that. I should have listened. But youth makes fools out of warnings. The next morning, I packed a small bag, filled my canteen, and took Bear with me. The day was warm, the air full of summer dust and light that shimmered between the branches like old glass. The trails were familiar until they weren't. Somewhere beyond the 3rd-mile marker, the land shifted. The trees grew closer together. The underbrush thinned, and the path started to bend in ways that didn't match the map. Then I saw it. A narrow opening between 2 laurels, almost too neat to be natural. The brush curved inward like something had passed through, and the forest had politely stepped aside. Bear stopped dead, his hackles rising. He let out a low growl, not loud but deep, like it came from his bones. I told him to stay, though my voice didn't sound like my own. He didn't move. I stepped forward. The air changed immediately. It thickened. It felt like wading into water that didn't want me there. Sound disappeared. No birds, no bugs, not even wind. The silence pressed against my ears until I could hear my own pulse. The trail dipped down into a hollow, shallow but dark, the kind of shadow that looked alive. That's where I saw the structure. At first glance, I thought it was a shed, maybe an old ranger lookout or hunter's blind. But as I got closer, the shape didn't make sense. It was tall, maybe 10 feet, but narrow, too narrow for a person to stand inside. The wood was pale, untouched by rot or weather. Down the middle ran a single slit, thin as a knife wound, stretching from top to bottom. Something about it felt wrong. It didn't belong there. Then something inside moved. It didn't step out. It unfolded. Long limbs, jointed wrong, stretched through the slit like shadows coming to life. A narrow torso slid free, then a head, tall, too long, with skin pale as bone and smooth as clay. No eyes, no mouth, just a face stretched over something that wasn't meant to be human. It turned toward me, tilting its head the way an animal studies movement. I couldn't move. My body forgot how. My chest locked, my legs froze, and every breath felt borrowed. Then, in the space between one heartbeat and the next, a voice filled my skull. Not sound, thought, stay, stay. The word didn't echo in my ears. It pulsed behind my eyes. Something inside me screamed to run, and that broke whatever hold it had. I stumbled back, caught a root, fell, scrambled up, and ran. The forest twisted around me, branches grabbing at my shirt, shadows shifting where they shouldn't. It felt like I was running in circles through the same clearing again and again, until I saw Bear waiting at the ridge. The instant he spotted me, he bolted toward the cabin. I followed. When we broke through the clearing, Cal was on the porch, sitting still as stone. He looked at me, then at the tree line, and for the first time since I'd known him, there was fear in his eyes. He handed me a bottle of water, waited until my breathing slowed, then said quietly, "You saw it." I didn't answer. He didn't need me to. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that slit of darkness in the wood and felt the weight of that word pressing in my skull. Stay. I ended up sleeping in the Ranger truck with the lights on and Bear lying beside the door. The next morning, Cal was gone. His bed was made, his axe missing. I found a note on the table, scrawled in pencil and hard to read. It said only, "Keep to the low trails, the ridge remembers." I told myself I'd leave that day, but something held me there. Maybe curiosity, maybe fear disguised as duty. I spent the morning hiking the lower paths, pretending to work, but my thoughts kept drifting back to that hollow. Every sound made me flinch. A snapping branch, the call of a crow, the whisper of leaves brushing together like voices too low to catch. That afternoon, I found something new. Near one of the fire breaks, a tree stood half dead, its bark flaking away like skin. Someone had carved into it again, a spiral looping in on itself. Beneath it, a name. Levi. My name. I stared at it for a long time, the air thick and sour. The wood around the letters looked fresh, not old like the others. The scent of sap still clung to it. I backed away, heart pounding, the weight of something unseen pressing on me again. As I turned to leave, a sound drifted through the forest. Faint at first, like wind through tall grass, then clearer. Someone crying. A man maybe, or a woman, hard to tell. The voice called for help, soft and broken, somewhere deep between the trees. I took one step toward it, then stopped. The voice got quieter. Another step, and it faded even more, like it was retreating the closer I came. Bear growled again, low and sharp, tail tucked. That was enough. I ran. That night, I locked every door, kept the lights burning, but darkness still felt alive. Around midnight, 12:46 a.m., Bear lifted his head and began to growl, eyes fixed on the front door. I sat up, listening. The boards outside the porch creaked once, then again, then stopped. When dawn came, I found fresh flowers on the back steps, wild violets, damp with frost. The nearest patch grew miles down the ridge, far past where I'd ever walked. I swept them away, but the scent lingered, faint and sweet like the breath of something buried. I left that morning, packed the truck, drove until the trees broke into open road, and the sky looked too big again. I told myself I wouldn't come back. I told myself I'd forget. But the mountains don't let go that easy. Years passed. I finished my ranger certification, got posted to a different district. Sometimes, when I'm patrolling the high trails near dusk, I'll see a carving on a tree, spirals, triangles, shapes I almost recognize. Once, I found a grave behind an abandoned church. No marker, just a pile of stones and a ring of flowers that never wilted. It was midwinter. The road had been closed for weeks. They say the Appalachians are old enough to remember everything that's ever died there. Some stories are buried deep, some wait just beneath the bark, and some walk. And sometimes, when I stop too long in the quiet, I swear I still hear it. That voice inside my head. Soft, patient, stay. I swear I saw her first. That's what keeps me up most nights. Not the sound she made, not the way the woods twisted after, but that first moment when she was just standing there and I still thought she was real. My name's Caleb Turner, and a long time ago, I used to help my Uncle Randy look after an old church tucked deep in the Appalachian foothills of Southern Virginia, past the part of town where streetlights stop and the dirt roads start to curl like veins into the forest. Randy was a quiet man, the kind who fixed what wasn't his to fix. The kind that never asked for help but never turned it down either. He'd been taking care of that church for as long as anyone could remember. Mowing grass, repainting signs, fixing cracked windows when the storms rolled through. Nobody paid him for it. He just did it like some invisible duty he couldn't put down. When I turned 16, my folks started sending me up there every Saturday. They said it'd build work ethic. What it really did was keep me out of the house, out of town, out of trouble. The place sat in a hollow between two ridges, where the trees leaned too close and sunlight never fully broke through. There was a tiny cemetery behind the chapel, just maybe 40 headstones, most so old the names had melted off. Beyond that, the woods grew wild and tangled, thick enough to choke out the wind. Uncle Randy had bad knees from a sawmill accident back in the 80s. He never talked about it, but you could tell by the way he moved, slow and careful, like every step cost him a thought. He'd sit under the metal awning beside the church, sipping from his dented thermos, coffee that smelled like burnt coins, while I did most of the chores. Every week.
Hey, Nikki, do you realize how close you live to me? I don't think you do. Maine and Canada are pretty much the same place. I live really close to Canada, by the way. So I get all y'all's shitty weather. You know, here in Maine, we blame Canada. Every time we get bad weather, we're like, it's Canada's fault. And it usually is Canada's fault. Because Canada sends its bad weather here when it's been naughty. Like, I swear, it will snow in the middle of freaking July here. And it's some bullshit. Shut up, Harry. I swear to God, if it snows this week, I'm coming after you. Like, I will fight you. We do not need any snow. Shut up, Harry. Last year, Nikki, every time he said that, it would come a fucking blizzard. Like, and drop about 10 inches of snow. Every time he freaking said it. I'll give my snow, and you give your snow, and we all give our snow to Harry. Yeah, it snowed 6 fucking foot in one night because Harry and his big mouth.
And it was the same. I'd clear brush along the fence, scrub gravestones with a wire brush, refill ant traps, sweep the porch, trim the hedges. Randy would point with his thermos, mutter things like, "Don't miss that corner by the generator." We never talked much. He wasn't a talker. But I didn't mind. There was something quiet about that place that made noise feel disrespectful. That day didn't start any different. I was out back behind the tool shed, hacking through a thicket of thorn vines with an old machete Randy had given me weeks earlier. He called it Old Gristle.
Oh, no, 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 no. Poor Harry Hale. Don't give me that poor Harry shit. Harry would, be like, oh, it's not gonna snow, it'll not snow, blah, blah, snow. And then, the next thing I know, we're under, a bajillion foot of snow because Harry jinxed us. Right? It did here, too. It came a bad blizzard here. Maine never shuts down the highways, and they shut down the roads here. Even the snow plows weren't going out. It was that bad. You can blame Harry for that one. Because he said, oh, it's not gonna blizzard. It'll never blizzard now. And then it did. So I blame Harry. Harry is absolutely grounded. So don't come in here poor Harry in. And by the way, for those of you who are interested, I finally finished doing and setting up my memberships. And I added stickers back. I made new stickers this time too. And as a perk on the top tier, you'll get a gift box from us where we got stickers, specialty stickers, a handmade item or two, a card, and assorted other things. So I finally stopped procrastinating and actually set it up. So I did a thing. Yay.
It was chipped, heavy, and the handle smelled faintly of oil and rust, but it got the job done. By late afternoon, I was drenched in sweat, my arms stinging from scratches. The air had that strange Appalachian stillness to it, where the world feels paused right before dusk. The light turns flat, grayish, like color starts draining out of everything. Randy shouted, "Wrap it up." I dropped the machete into its sheath, half grateful. The woods up there got dark early, like the sun dipped faster behind those ridges. I figured I'd take the shortcut trail that curved around the back of the cemetery, followed the dry creek bed, and dropped out near the highway. It was maybe a 15-minute walk, 20 tops. I never took a flashlight, never needed to. I was walking past the last row of graves when I saw her. She stood just beyond the fence line, in that narrow gap between the cemetery and the trees. Pale, still, wearing what looked like a long gray dress, soaked to her knees in mud or maybe just age. Her hair was white, not silver, white like ash, and fell across her shoulders like a veil. She wasn't by a grave. She wasn't moving. Just standing there, perfectly straight between two cedar trees, her hands limp at her sides. At first I thought she might be someone visiting. There were always odd folks who came up that way. Historians, photographers, even ghost hunters sometimes. But she wasn't holding anything, not a camera, not a notebook. She wasn't even breathing. I stopped dead. Then she turned. Not her head, her body. It rotated slow, steady, like something turning a mannequin from the inside. Her head
Oh,
stayed
hell
perfectly
no.
still, eyes locked on the trees, her neck.
Oh, hell no. No, nope. No. That's when I would have walked on air. You could have seen a silhouette of me and the dust particles I would have left behind. I would have got the fuck out of there so fast. No. You'd have called me Flash because that's how fast I'd have been gone. I sure as hell wouldn't be still sitting there gawking at it. Nope. You'd have had to plan 2 funerals. One for whoever that was, and 2 for me, because I'd have died of fucking fear. Nope. That's why I don't go to cemeteries at night. Not me. Nope. I'm too big of a chicken. And I am not ashamed to admit it. I am a chicken. Bagook. Bitches. But I am a chicken that's still alive because I don't do dumb shit like that. Bok, bitches. Bok. You know, we go to Canada probably twice a year. We go get the poutine, and there's a candy shop right over the border. And we go over there and get the salted caramels and the pastries and get a authentic poutine. I love poutine. I love it so much. Oh, poutine? Poutine is only the most delicious thing in the world. It's cheese curds, French fries, and gravy. And it's freaking delicious.
Stiff as stone, but her torso kept moving until her shoulders faced me. The sound was wrong. There wasn't any. No rustle of leaves. No wind. No crickets.
Best thing ever. Yep.
Even my heartbeat felt quiet, like the world had swallowed its own noise. And when her face finally tilted toward me, I saw why. Her eyes were gone, not missing, not sunken, gone. 2 perfect holes bored straight through her skull. I could see the trees behind her through them. Not shadow, not black, actual light. It was like looking through tunnels. My chest dropped. I didn't scream, I didn't move. Every part of me wanted to, but it was like my legs forgot how. The air felt thick, syrupy, like I was wading through pressure itself. When she stopped turning, when her hollow gaze fixed in my direction, I ran. Branches clawed my arms, thorns tore my jeans, but I didn't care. The woods were wrong now. The path bent in ways I didn't remember. The dry creek curved the wrong way. The same rotten log appeared twice. I knew these trails. I'd walked them 100 times, but now every step circled back on itself. The forest swallowed sound. My breath came loud and shallow, but even that seemed muffled, like breathing through cotton. Then came the footsteps, slow, measured, off, off. They followed my rhythm, a beat too late, a pace too careful, like something was copying the idea of walking, but didn't understand how. I didn't look back. I couldn't. The sky had gone dim by the time I broke through the last of the brush and stumbled onto the gravel shoulder of the road. I dropped to my knees, gasping, skin burning, hands shaking. Randy's truck was gone. He'd left hours ago. I sat there until I saw headlights from a passing car, then walked the rest of the way home. When I got in, nobody asked why I was late. I told them I'd seen a deer, that I'd lost track of time. I don't even think they heard me. That night, I dreamed about her. Not like a nightmare, more like a replay, only this time, when she turned, she didn't stop. She kept coming. Her hand touched my shoulder, cold as rainwater, and everything froze. I couldn't blink, couldn't breathe. The world just stopped. I didn't go back after that. Not for years. 4 winters passed before I set foot near that ridge again. Uncle Randy had died. My dad and I were cleaning out his trailer, packing boxes, sorting tools. In the back of a closet, under old hymnals and moldy newspapers, I found a cracked photo album. Most of it was harmless. Easter potlucks, church groups, kids in stiff clothes standing by graves. But near the end, one picture caught me. A woman in a gray dress stood at the edge of the cemetery, facing the camera. Her eyes had been scratched out, 2 small circles, carved deep through the photo paper. Below it, written in pencil so faint I almost missed it, were the words, Sister Eloise, never found, 1953. I closed the album and put it in a box marked junk. That night, when I was heading back to the truck, my phone buzzed. I had a voicemail. I hadn't even felt it ring. When I played it, all I heard was my own voice, screaming. At the exact time I was asleep the night before, I dropped the phone. It hit the dirt face down, screen cracked. A week later, I stopped for gas at a station off Highway 219. The attendant, old guy, long beard, soft voice, asked if I was from around here. I said, yeah, near the old church on Ridge Road. He looked up, eyes wide. You ever see her? He asked. I didn't answer. He smiled a sad kind of smile. Said every Friday at midnight, a woman in a gray dress walks right past that church, stops at the pump, stares into the glass, and then she's gone before the camera catches her. He said the footage always skips. Said the only sound left on the tape is breathing. I didn't go back to that church again. But sometimes, when I drive those roads at night and the trees start leaning too close, I catch something in the rearview mirror. Just a shape still, turning slow. And through the glass, I can see the woods behind her. Clear, sharp, perfect, shining right through the holes where her eyes should be. I remember the way the air felt the first time I went up that mountain, like it was heavier than normal, like it carried old breath that didn't belong to the living. My name's Aaron. I'm 28 from Raleigh, and I used to work as a building inspector, one of those jobs that makes you sit in traffic more than you sit still. Last spring, I got laid off and didn't know what to do with myself. So when my cousin Jacob called from a place called Ridgefield Hollow, I said yes before I even asked what he wanted. He said he owned a piece of land deep in the Appalachian Mountains, way out past the county line where the roads stopped pretending to be roads. No cell service, no stores, no houses for miles, just forest and dirt and silence. He said there was an old cabin up there that used to belong to our great-uncle Walter, and he was finally fixing it up. Said he needed another pair of hands to help tear up the floors and replace them. He offered a cot, beer, and food, and I thought, yeah, sure, why not? I drove up on a Thursday afternoon just before sunset. The road narrowed with every mile, trees pressing closer until the light barely touched the ground. My GPS gave up halfway, the signal just gone. By the time I reached the gravel path Jacob described, it felt like the mountain itself wanted me to turn back. Jacob's truck was already parked at the bottom of the ridge, a red Ford covered in mud and pine needles. He waved when he saw me, his shirt already stuck to him with sweat. It took us nearly an hour to carry everything up.
Good night, take a seat. I can't believe how much I've gotten done. I'm almost done with this whole half, and then I gotta flip it over. See now why people listen to me, Nikki? I put people to sleep. It's my charm. I'm good at it. I can put everybody but myself to sleep. But no, I used when I first started my channel, that's what I did. I ran late night streams for people who couldn't sleep. I guess it's the stories played in the background and the sound of the diamond art. It makes you sleepy.
Tools, water, canned food, sleeping bags. The path wound through trees that seemed too close together, trunks leaning in like eavesdropping giants. When I finally saw the cabin, my first thought was that it looked tired. Like the mountain had been trying to pull it underground for years. The roof sagged on one side, ivy crawling over the chimney stones, windows so dirty they looked like old mirrors. When I stepped inside, I noticed how dry the air was, as if the wood had soaked up every drop of moisture over the years and still wasn't done. It didn't smell rotten, just still. Too still. Jacob told me he didn't sleep in the cabin. Said he used the barn a few hundred yards down the hill, claimed it was warmer and less drafty, but something about the way he said it made me think that wasn't the real reason. I didn't ask. I set up my cot by the fireplace that first night, the floorboards creaking under me like something shifting just beneath the surface. We worked all day the next morning, tearing up planks so old they cracked like paper. By evening, we were covered in sawdust, our hands blistered, our backs stiff. Jacob made chili from a can, and we ate on the porch while the sun fell behind the trees. It got dark fast. Not the kind of dark you get in towns, but the kind that eats the last bit of color out of everything. No moon, no crickets, no wind. Just the steady hum of my own heartbeat. I must have fallen asleep fast, because the next thing I remember was waking up in the middle of the night. My throat was dry, my chest heavy. I looked at my watch, 2:16 a.m., and realized I needed to pee. I grabbed my flashlight, pulled on my shoes, and stepped outside. The forest was quiet in a way that felt wrong, like something had stolen all the sounds. Even the air seemed thick, like it had been sitting still for hours. When I turned to look back at the cabin, I froze. A shadow moved across the far wall inside, tall, human-shaped, but smooth, almost like smoke. I waited, light trembling in my hand, my mind searching for a reason that made sense. But then the hammer I'd left by the window clattered onto the floor. I hadn't heard anyone walk. I went back inside, heartbeat hammering. The air felt cold, like the fire had been out for days, not hours. My water bottle had tipped over, a small puddle spreading across the planks. The tape measure was stretched open, lying in a lazy arc. I whispered Jacob's name, but nothing answered. Then I heard it, breathing. Rough, uneven, right behind me. I turned slow, light shaking so hard the beam bounced off the walls. No one there, but the sound didn't stop. It was still behind me, like it was attached to my shoulder. I ran. Didn't grab my jacket or boots, just tore out the door and down the slope, feet sliding on roots, branches clawing at my arms. When I reached the barn, I slammed the door so hard dust fell from the rafters. Jacob was sitting up in the loft, half asleep, confused. I told him someone was inside. He didn't argue, didn't even blink. Just climbed down, grabbed a crowbar, and said, "Come on." The closer we got back to the cabin, the colder the air felt. My flashlight beam shook like it wanted to die. When Jacob opened the door, we both stopped dead. There were footprints in the dust, bare feet, dirty, circling the room over and over like someone had been pacing for hours. Jacob just stared at them, then finally said, "I didn't tell you everything." I waited, heart still thudding in my chest. He said his granddad, Walter, had died in that cat.
Did she post something? Let me check. I don't see anything. Let me check my notifications.
What's good, y'all? I said I would update y'all on Lily doing a live. She said she should be live around 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. What's good, y'all? I said I would update y'all on Lily doing a live. She said she should be live around 8 o'clock Eastern Standard.
Said you told your friend and your friend took it public. You said stop, and then she had a whole ass live, and you were participated. So that's what I'm just trying to understand. That's the one.
Well, I think what it is because I was actually there, so I was speaking on something that I had experienced and that I knew about. You can't say that she's not with him because you don't know that. I didn't think she was either until I saw him wrap his arms around her, kiss her in the bend of her neck, and say, "I missed you."
Okay.
Even after the location, I didn't think that. It wasn't up until he touched her and she was okay with it that I was like, "Well, holy shit, here it is." And then she just walked out the door with him, and off they went into the fucking sunset. Lily, that's how that happened for me.
Okay. So that he says I miss you. So why would you say I miss you if you're with somebody all the time?
He said, "I missed you." It was because he hadn't slept in bed with her since Friday night, silly goose.
I never heard. Like, are you sure?
Like, are we supposed to analyze people's conversations? You're telling what we've heard.
They don't like you because you're exactly who you say you are, while they have to pick and choose which mask they're gonna wear each day. And honestly, that sounds exhausting. Could never be me. So anyway, keep shining in your authenticity.
Listen, and listen well. Villain is not with her ex. The receipts got dropped. You nosy, vile bitches need to find a life, preferably your own, and work on that. Because it's obvious you have no idea what you're talking about. And let me, like, I have to say this. I'm sorry. And villain, if you hear this, forgive me. But, listen. What I saw tonight was triggering. As a domestic abuse survivor, it was triggering. You women, or so-called women over there, want to cast stones and judgment at her. And you lied about her to the extent to where it was necessary for her ex-abuser to come on panel and clear things up. He didn't have to do that. But it speaks volumes to Villain's character that somebody she's not even with couldn't have her lied about. You have no idea how triggering that had to be for her. What you did was attack yet another domestic violence survivor. You want to parade around and white knight for mental health. What the hell do you think it did to her mental health? Do you even care how that had to affect her? Did you even stop and think, how's it going to affect her to drag her ex, who she ended up having to get a PFA against, up on a panel to clear her name? That was triggering for me. I cannot imagine what that was like for Villain. It's disgusting that that was even necessary. This woman was your friend. You were never her friend. But make no mistake, she was your friend. She had your back when nobody else knew who the fuck you were. She stood in the gap for you. She had your back. She was your shelter in the middle of a storm. And what did you do to her? You made it necessary to drag her ex up on a panel to clear up the lies you told. Villain's not the only DV survivor you've attacked, is it, Psycho Bunny and crew? You want to parade around and be like, oh, the children, oh, the domestic violence survivors, oh, the victims. Excuse me, but like myself, Villain is a documented victim. Look what you did to her. And for what? Because she didn't have your back fast enough? Because she didn't bail you out fast enough? What? You're a grown-ass woman. You got yourself into the shit, Psycho Bunny. Everything you're getting now, you're getting because of your behavior, not because of Villain. If anything, Villain protected you and kept this from happening much sooner. It's okay, April. I'm not playing it from Tracy's fucking shit channel. I refuse to give that bitch a view. With the way that she has treated Villain, fuck her. And the way that Psycho Bunny did Villain, fuck her too. Like, I'm not even that tight with Villain. I don't speak to Villain. But I have watched what's happened to her, and I am infuriated. As a fellow DV survivor, I am fucking furious. The way that woman has been treated, with how loyal and fiercely she fought for you, makes me sick. It does. It turns my stomach with how fast you turned on her. Which tells me, Psycho Bunny, that you went into that friendship with malicious intentions. You went into that friendship intending to try to destroy her. Only problem is, the truth will always win. You cannot destroy the truth with a lie. Not one motherfucking fucking time. Shame on all of you. I just played it. It was captioned. You're all over there digging in deeper instead of being grown ass women and saying, you know what? I lied. You know what? I made a mistake. You know what? I'm an asshole for what I did. If you were worth 2 cents, if your integrity was worth anything to you, you'd stand up like the grown ass woman you're supposed to be and own your shit. But you're not going to do that, are you? I didn't think so. But you know what, Psycho Bunny, Tracy, and the rest of your gaggle of babbling baboons? You know what? I have no doubt that villain will come out on top. Because the truth will always win in the end. Always. And make no mistake, you are the bad guy in this situation. What you did to her, disgusting. No one will ever trust you. I hope you know that. No one should ever trust you. No one will ever believe you again. Because all the lies you told are being exposed. Your true face is being shown, and you can't stand it. But you know what? Instead of railing against the people exposing your monstrous face, how about just change who you are as a person and be a better person? Instead of railing against the people, calling it out, you should look within and change the behaviors that is getting you in the hot seat to begin with. You are not woman enough to own it, though, are you? I can tell you this, every mistake I've ever made on this platform, I've owned 100%. That's the part you like to leave out, though, isn't it? When I'm wrong, I own it. I don't half-ass on it. I own it. And I don't go around fucking forming friendships only to attempt to destroy the person I'm forming the friendship with. That's just gross. That's middle school bullshit right there. You're wrong. You're fucking wrong. And you disgust me. You and I both know she didn't deserve this. Not a damn bit of it. That woman has been good to you, has shielded you, has protected you, has had your back. She stood in the gap for all of you. Because every damn one of you, at one point or another, has ran to her seeking asylum, and she gave it. Wholeheartedly and fully, and you stabbed her in the back. You deserve whatever is coming your way. Every bit of it. Shame. Shame, shame, shame on you. On all of you. I'm gonna go to bed. I've had enough ugliness for one day. I'll see you all later. Bye.